Green, Frankenstein. Welcome, friends, to the Alyosha Society. We're pursuing truth, beauty, and goodness through great literature. Don't you like this one? Just a lot to talk about. You know, a lot of themes and ideas. I mean, if you like the philosophical, theological discussion, Mary Shelley gives us no shortage of cool things to talk about. Where are we? All right, Mr. Outline of Videos. Let's check it out. This is video number 9, guys. Number 9. Yeah, and spoiler alert, possibly. Yeah, well, the climactic moment, remember the story arc? The climax may have possibly happened in this reading. This is video number 9. So if you look at your outline of videos, we're in volume 3, chapters 4, 5, and 6. Let's get right to it. Chapter 4, Victor is still telling his story. Remember, before we had the history of the villagers, then we had the monster telling Victor all of his story. Victor's telling Robert Walton, Walton's writing letters to his sister. So take a look. It's 169 if you're using the version that I'm using. And what's going on? Victor's brought before a judge. Why is he brought before a judge? Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe it's because his best friend is dead. Oh, Henry Clerval. I was soon introduced into the presence of a magistrate, beginning of chapter 4, a little over halfway down the page. They found that he had fallen on the body of a man who was to all appearance dead. Bottom of the page, he had apparently been strangled. There was no sign of any violence except, let's see, the signature mark, the black mark of fingers on his neck. Let's see. I wonder who could have done that. So, boy, at this point, we've got the death of William, Victor's brother. We've got the conviction and execution of Justine, family friend, probably like a sister to Victor. And now we have his best friend, Henry Clerval. 171, middle of the page. I entered the room where the corpse lay and was led up to the coffin. How can I describe my sensations on beholding it? Yeah. I mean, it would be horrible to know that I am responsible for the death of my own brother, my own best friend, and a lady who was basically like a sister. I feel yet parched with horror, nor can I reflect on that terrible moment without shuddering and agony that faintly reminds me of the anguish of the recognition. The trial, the presence of the magistrate witnesses passed like a dream from my memory when I saw the lifeless form of Henry Clerval stretched before me. I gasped for breath and, throwing myself on the body, exclaimed, "Have my murderous machinations deprived you also, my dearest Henry, of life? 2 I have already destroyed. Other victims await their destiny, but you, Clerval, my friend, my benefactor." He goes on to say that he got physically ill. A fever succeeded to this. I lay for 2 months on the point of death. My ravings, as I afterwards heard, were frightful. I called myself the murderer of Justine, William, and Clerval. So he's having nightmares. He's having dreams. I don't know, maybe he's having hallucinations. Who knows what's going on? He's kind of losing his mind a little bit. So yeah, Victor's not doing well. Okay, skip up then to the end of chapter 4. Oppressed by recollection of my various misfortunes, I now took a double dose and I soon slept profoundly, but sleep did not afford me respite. No rest for the weary, right? From thought and misery, my dreams presented 1,000 objects that scared me. Towards morning, I was possessed by a kind of nightmare. I felt the fiend's grasp in my neck. and I could not free myself from it. Groans and cries rung from my ears. My father, who was watching over me, perceiving my restlessness, awoke me, and he pointed to the port of Holyhead, which we were now entering. Okay, next page, chapter 5. Now, at this point, Victor is filled with horror, anguish, depression, guilt. Just a mountain of, every anger. I mean, every imaginable negative emotion he has to unload. And so in chapter 5, he confesses to his own father, this whole mess. On the bottom of page 179, alas, my father, how little you know of me. I murdered her. Justine, poor unhappy Justine. I murdered her. William, Justine, and Henry. They all died by my hands. So he unloads everything, tells his father, maybe he's thinking, well, if I get this off my chest, but here's the thing, not only does he have all those emotions going on, but remember, he also has anxiety and fear because the monster threatened, I will be with you. I'm coming after you on your wedding night. So, remember, Victor is still in the process of planning and anticipating his marriage, his wedding to Elizabeth. But he has this threat hanging over him. Like, how's this going to play out? Okay, and preparations, I'm on page 185. Preparations were being made for the event. House was purchased. We're getting everything ready. And once again, what comes onto the scene here to provide comfort and peace, solemnity? Good, you knew it, nature. What a divine day. I'm in the middle of 187 now. It's basically the end of chapter 5. What a divine day. How happy and serene all nature appears. The sun sunk lower in the heavens. We passed the river, the Alps, the wind, the sun beneath the horizons as we landed. And as I touched the shore, I felt those cares and fears revive, which soon were to clasp me and cling to me forever. We talked in the previous lesson about the difference between acknowledging the beauties of nature, writing poetry about the beauties of nature, but acknowledging nature as beautiful because the creator of that natural world is himself beautiful, transcendent, incomprehensible, and so forth. As opposed to nature, I worship you. You are divine. You, Mother Nature, you bring me peace. You bring me solace. You heal my troubled soul. Big difference. Remember, we looked at Psalm 19, heavens declare the handiwork of God, and we looked at Romans chapter 1, where Paul says, look, a very core characteristic of the sinfulness of mankind is the fact that he took the creator out of the picture and replaced the object of his adoration is the creation instead of the creator. Chapter 6. Look at the beginning of this chapter. Then retired to the inn, I contemplated the lovely scene of waters, woods, mountains, the wind which had fallen in the south. The moon had reached her summit in the heavens. The cloud swept across swifter than the flight of the vulture, while the lake reflected the scene of the busy heavens. In this much space, we've got reference to waters, woods, mountains, wind, moon, clouds, lake, skies. Then we have a storm. Almost 10 references to something in nature. I hope you're picking that up. And then in the midst of this solace and this peace and all the apparently beautiful things that Mary Shelley thought that nature could bring, 189, I heard a shrill and dreadful scream. Let me see. Hint, this is Victor's wedding day. Well, what happens? Why did I not then expire? Middle of 189. Why am I here to relate the destruction of the best hope and the purest creature of earth? She was there. She, Elizabeth, lifeless and inanimate, thrown across the bed, her head hanging down, and her pale and distorted features half covered by her hair. Bottom of 189, the murderous mark of the fiend's grasp was on her neck, and the breath had ceased to issue from her lips. You see, when Victor heard the threat, I will be with you on your wedding day, wedding night, he thought that that meant the creature was going to kill him. But he did something that for Victor was infinitely worse than killing himself. The creature has now murdered Elizabeth. 192, they called me mad, and during many months, as I understood, a solitary cell had been my habitat. Now he's just about completely lost his mind at this point. And you can understand that. Brother, sister, best friend, wife. Liberty had been a useless gift to me had I not, as I awakened to reason, at the same time awakened to revenge. So Victor has now kind of transitioned from fear and anxiety and guilt. Now he just has rage. Now he's just angry and he wants to eliminate the creature. I was possessed by a maddening rage when I thought of him. Bottom of page 192. And I now related my history briefly with firmness and precision. He's talking about telling his story to the judge at that point. So I said it at the beginning of our lesson. Where are we with the plot arc? All right, let's take a look at it. We haven't looked at our plot development here in a while. Here we go. So let's see. Exposition. Robert writing letters to his sister, Victor growing up, interest in science, lightning, animating the inanimate. He goes to the university, drops the alchemy. Okay, we got rising action. He creates the monster. That's the problem. The problem is the creation of a monster that is now out of control. Pandora's box. Climactic moment? What are you thinking? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I'm thinking it's pretty obvious. I'm thinking the death of Elizabeth is the climactic moment. I mean, look, the death of William, Justine, Henry Clerval, they're all, but you know, I think Mary Shelley is honestly doing a brilliant job of building that tension. And now the ultimate, I mean, you know, he says the fairest and the greatest creature on earth. The monster has now taken away that which is most precious. I do believe that the death of Elizabeth is the climactic moment. So what does that mean? That means now we're going to have falling action. He's now filled with rage. I mean, it's still, you know, the mood is still intense in the story, but we're going to see the aftermath of the climactic moment. So here's what we're going to do. Brace yourselves, buckle in, friends, because this is video number 9. So the next video is it. And we're going to have a lot to get through because we got to finish the story. But then we got to wrap it all up. We got to talk about what in the world just happened and how do we interpret this novel? What's going on? So it's probably going to be, it's going to be a hefty one, but it's going to be fun. So be sure you finish reading Frankenstein completely. And I want you to think about the falling action. I want you to think about big picture. Like, what do you think Mary Shelley's message is? Knowing her worldview, knowing her life, knowing her time period. Start thinking through, how does enlightenment, how does romanticism, the role of nature, the fact that her mother's the founder of feminism. I mean, there's all kinds of things going on here, and we're going to tie it all up in the next lesson. So finish reading Frankenstein. See you then.